Welcome back to another Q&A video. Post your questions down below and let's begin. Hey Alex, as a novice lifter, how to cut without losing strength? I'm worried that I lose my strength if I cut. Is it possible to lose strength in a novice phase? It depends on two factors. How close you are to intermediate and what your current body fat percentage is. If you're leaning towards the leaner side, you'll probably lose some strength while you cut as a novice. Whereas if you're obese or slightly higher, say just standard fluffy, you can quite easily recomp in my opinion, at least for some months before you plateau. So it really depends on the body fat percentage. Okay, the extra reserves will make it easier to recomp, just the way it is. That's why a lot of fatter guys tend to see exceptional results, whereas the ones who try to maintain optimal leanness year round, we see some struggles, okay, especially with basic routines in general. And the second thing is regards to experience level. The closer you are to intermediate, obviously you've milked a lot of those linear newbie gains. So it'll be difficult to maintain or even gain strength in a deficit. And in some cases, yeah, you're actually going to lose it. That said, loss should be very minimal if you ask me. On top of that, the moment you start eating normally again, the gains are going to come back. So you have to ask yourself, what do you want? Are you willing to sacrifice a little bit of strength gains just so you can get slightly leaner? Is that your true objective? Are you chasing aesthetics? What do you want? I can't answer that. All I will say is that the closer you are to intermediate and the leaner you are, the more difficult it's going to be to maintain or gain strength in the deficit. Hey Alex, do you recommend dumbbell bench press, regular, neutral on volume days or intensity, and what rep ranges do you recommend? I do. It works great on both days, and honestly, you can't go wrong. You could do it twice a week or just one time. Now, in terms of sets and reps, the same as a barbell exercise. Although for intensity days, I'll keep it around 4 to 10 reps on the dumbbell press, 4 being on the lower side, specifically if you're doing something like back off sets, okay? But I would say 6 to 10, that's pretty standard, and it should work very well on intensity workout, okay? Then for volume work, 5 sets of 10, you can do 4 sets of 12. You can even go higher than that and do reps of 15 to 20, which is actually my choice. Although I haven't done dumbbell pressing in a while due to my home gym over here. Although when I do train, when I do volume workouts at the gym, yeah, I'll grab the dumbbells, man. I'll do a 3x20 or a 5x20 or a 4x25. For me, high reps have always worked very well. And it's a great way of getting more out of less weight, okay? And they will challenge you like crazy, so I would say reps between 12 and 20 are exceptional for volume work, but you can keep it standard, 3 sets of 8 to 12 as well. You can't go wrong. Hey Alex, should I do heavy rack pulls at the beginning of my pull workout or at the end? I would definitely recommend starting with the rack pulls since it's very much an overloading exercise. No matter what position you're pulling from, it will tax your body. But at the same time, it primes you. Because once you get that heavy load in, you just feel like a boss when you go do pull-ups right after. And the truth is that you're not going to want to do heavy rack pulls after weighted pull-ups and barbell rows and shrugs and all these things. To me, it just makes sense to start with that first. It's going to be your main heavy exercise. It's going to give you the maximum stretch you're looking for. And it's also a great overall mass and strength builder. And then you slowly break it down. You go into the pull-ups. Then maybe you do your other little accessories like your cable rows, then your rear delts. So you start with the most difficult exercises first. Then you work your way down. Some guys believe the opposite, whereby you begin with the small accessories. You do what you want. But in my opinion and in my experience, you definitely want to start with the rack pulls first. The only exception to this would be if you're doing 1 rep max weighted pull-ups, then I would start with that and treat the rack pull as like a secondary movement where you're doing rep work. Say reps of 3 to 5, at least for an intensity workout. So it depends if you're maxing on the pull-ups or not. But that's how I do it. What kind of programming would you recommend for someone who wants to specialize in overhead press and weighted chin-ups, intermediate at both lifts? Well, something like my naturally enhanced program. Obviously, that system is catered for overhead press and rows, okay, and also the rack pulls and all that, but it can easily be specialized for the chins. You just got to be meticulous with the exercise selection. And a great example is the workouts that I've been posting recently. I've been doing weighted pull-up, chin-up, whatever you call it, specialization for well over a year now, okay? I do very, very little rows, pretty much no shrugs, and very little pulls. I haven't done it in a very long time, to be honest with you. And my back is looking better than ever. And for traps, I find that the neck work is extremely beneficial, and I'll be making a video on that soon. But in terms of specialization, concurrent periodization, bro, you can't go wrong. Or you could run some standard routine, whatever you like. But my recommendation is you have a volume day, intensity day, and you rotate the variations on a frequent basis, and you make it all specific, okay? So for overhead press, you can wave it like pause overhead, you know, touch and go with a slightly wider grip or narrower. Then you throw in the Z presses, then maybe you throw in the overhead pressing with the bands. Or you switch to a football bar, right? And then you can do some waves as well, like a 75, 80, 85%, 10 by 3, something like that. That's brutal as fuck. or just a standard 5x5 for accessories. Like, there's so many ways to program. Do whatever you want, regardless of overhead press programming. And then for chins, it's the exact same thing, guys. The way that I did it was constantly changing the grips of the pull-ups and the chin-ups and all that. I use every single style you could think of, and I mix in pauses. And sometimes I do excessive range of motion where like my freaking body is touching the barbell and I got to really lean back. And it's always clean form for the most part. So I rotate a lot of variations in that way, and I incorporate volume and intensity. So I do 1 rep maxes, I do 3x3, I do 3x5, I do 5x5, I do waves, 3-week waves, for volume days. I do just classic 3 sets of 10. I do ramping sets. I do it all. So everything that I'm talking about, like the style of programming, it works for any lift for the most part. You can use it on any freaking exercise. On chin-ups, overhead press, deadlifts, squats, bench press, legit anything. It doesn't matter what you're doing because it's a periodization style. It doesn't even have to be full body either. It could be push-pull legs, upper lower, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the system. It's the act of managing volume intensity throughout the yearly cycle and rotating specific movements. It just works, plain and simple. So that's how I would do it, man. Concurrent periodization, bro. You're going to get mad strong with very little plateaus. After overhead press, I feel dizzy. This is the one exercise that I feel like this. Why does it happen? Can I do something about it? Yesterday I passed out doing 1 rep max and would like to keep doing exercise without hurting myself again. Okay. I've actually heard a few people report this problem. And that said, please see my video on exertion headaches, okay? Because I think a lot of those tips can be helpful for you, okay? That said, I think you need to do a lot more neck training, okay? That should help with the headaches big time and the feelings of passing out, in addition to using the max effort method more frequently. What I've noticed is that guys who aren't used to lifting heavy all the time tend to experience some of the problems that you're describing, okay? Now for me, I've been using the max effort method for fucking years, okay? And I use this year round. Maybe not 100% of the time, every single workout, but I would say at least 95% of the time. 90, 95, that's very realistic in my training program. So I say if you max out on a very frequent basis, you just get used to it. That's my opinion, and that's what's worked for me. So you just rotate the variations of the overhead press, okay? Go heavy every single week, and then see if you're still getting that lightheadedness. If so, like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Could it be the form? Could it be that you're not breathing in correctly? That you're breathing too high up instead of low? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. This is not something I can speak of from experience in terms of passing out on overhead press. I've gone that lightheadedness, but not like fainting or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, like, you just got to work your neck more, and you got to use the max effort method more frequently. But I could be totally wrong in responding to you right now. So maybe guys who have more experience with this should give you a response. But I did want to give you my input nonetheless. Yo, Alex, in a way, couldn't you say it's worthless to lift as a teenager as an adult would have far superior gains in comparison? Hell no, bro. That's very weird thinking to me. Like, training at a young age will set you up later down the road, and ultimately you'll have a much better physique than if you waited. Like, why procrastinate? What's the point? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, your gains might not be as good if you're like really freaking young, say 14, 15, but you can still get a pretty good physique. And most of you, in truth, can look better than the majority of adults while being stronger at the same time. And that's how it was for me, bro. And I can tell you that had I started later, had I waited till I was a full-grown adult, my gains would not be where they are today. And I also believe that starting young, like, you're just setting up that nuclei in your freaking muscle cell, so it makes it easier to build them later on, And you could check out Team 3D Alpha's channel on that, but it's like, start young. Why not? You're in it, you have the knowledge, you have good training programs available. As long as you don't get hurt, as long as you don't ego lift, and you do things gradually, and you understand this is a long-term game, like, if anything, this is the best thing you can do. You're setting up the right habits that's going to lead you down a successful path in building strength and muscle, and also the health aspect of things, right? Like, how badass is it for you to be that guy at school who takes his fitness seriously, who actually has an above average physique, and who's setting down the habits that will carry you for the rest of your life? It makes you accountable. It makes you a better person. The gym is not just about the physique. It's the mind-body connection. It enhances you in other aspects, dude. Had I had that mentality of, I'm just going to wait till I'm older, like, fuck that. Actually, there would be no Alpha Destiny if I thought of it that way. And a lot of the experience I wouldn't have had. Like, now's the time to learn. And as I've said in older videos, there are people online right now that are much stronger than even me because they got on really fucking good programs at a super young age, and they've been very, very consistent. They did it right from the get-go, okay? So if you can avoid all those mistakes and get started right now, like, this is the best thing you could fucking do. Straight up. Like, dude. Don't wait a second. Sign up at the gym, and you won't regret it, I'm telling you. What do you think, rather than doing rack pulls for multiple reps and not holding the weight at the top for very long at all, instead just doing 1 rep per set and holding at the top for as long as possible? Honestly, from a muscle building perspective, this will work just fine. That's exactly how the farmer walk exercise builds your traps. Way to stretch. You can say whatever you want about rack pulls, but you can't take away the fact that it works damn well for building up the traps through that immense weight of stretch, no matter what position you're pulling from, okay? And this goes for any other exercise as well, like farmer walks, like deadlifts, it's all in the stretch. So yes, you can easily just pick up a weight and hold it for a long period of time. Long holds, bro, 30, 60 seconds, absolutely, it's gonna work in building up the traps, bro, 100%. That said, it's a little bit different from rep work, okay? Because rep work, you are changing the angle slightly as you go through the range of motion, and I think it's more difficult to maintain that back tightness, so maybe you're going to get more gains from that. And also, I like the aspect of doing reps on pulls in general, but honestly, if your goal is just get yoked, you don't care about any of that stuff, you just want bigger traps, sure, bro. And I'll say that most people will get better gains when they incorporate holds compared to just doing touch and go or making it short. Like, I found that 3 to 5 second holds are very freaking effective, and it gets you under the bar for longer periods of time. So the longer you hold it, bro, the better it's going to be. My hips cramp up when benching. How do I fix that? Okay, the common culprit that I see is guys doing a lot of squats right before. So a lot of you guys who follow my channel, you're doing full body workouts. Maybe you're running my novice program, or you're doing something similar where you begin with the lower body, right? That's what I've seen. And in my experience, that's when the hips cramp up, even the hamstrings, because you're still kind of tight from all the squats. So maybe you could do some stretching right after that. Might be helpful. Or you could just reverse the order. Start with bench first, do squats right after, if you're really struggling with this problem. Because it's also the fact that you're trying to use a lot of leg drive, right, to maximize your performance. But when you do the leg drive, you're still a little bit effed up from those squats, right? So, I don't know. I would say mobility training is the best thing you could do in this situation. By your benching technique, so the leg drive aspect has been modified. So maybe instead of going on your tippy toes, you can go flat foot, or maybe don't go so wide with the legs, narrow it out a little bit. So I would say play around with the bench form and do some mobility right after your squats. It should help quite a bit. How low should you go on the flat bench? Full range of motion, man. Touch your freaking chest. Pause if you have to. Come back up. And lock out as well, okay? I don't like manual half reps where you're just artificially stopping. The only time I'll approve something like that is if it's a spoto press or if you're like lightly touching your t-shirt, but like it's super freaking controlled, okay? That's when it's okay. But these fucking half reps that guys do, no. And don't give me the excuse, oh, you have long arms. No. Listen, if you retract your scapula, use the correct grip width, and you tuck your elbows in, okay? You're not going to have shoulder pain while benching, even if you do have a very deep range of motion. In fact, we do have something called a cambered bar, all right? So even the shorter guys use cambered bars. It's still very deep range of motion, and injuries are not coming out from that, okay? Actually, I would argue that it's more dangerous to constantly do manual half reps because one day you're going to end up a little bit too low and you never strengthen that bottom position. You have a very clear weakness here. And that's where the pec tears occur. And this is what I see all these guys doing wrong with the dumbbell press. Always doing fucking half reps, flaring out their elbows to complete max. When in reality, you just have to tuck a little bit, touch at the bottom. And this is even worse when they're using heavier dumbbells because now the range of motion is reduced even further. So they think they're getting stronger because they're pushing the heavier load, but no, the dumbbells are just bulkier. So the range of motion is constantly getting less and less, and you end up doing these fucking quarter reps, bro. So that's when I have a serious problem with it. But let's say you do a standard partial lift. Let's say a 1 to 2 board press if your shoulders are feeling a little bit iffy. That's fine. Or if you want to make the strength curve modify a little bit, you could wear a slingshot, okay? Or do very light reverse band, let's say a mini, okay? This way you get a little bit of pop off the chest, but you're still getting full range of motion. But now you're not compromising the bottom position, you understand? Or you go on a slight decline to reduce the range of motion, but you're still doing full range for the exercise, you understand? So you always want to touch your chest. Pausing is optional, but you at least want to get it full range, okay? And use proper form. You have to use proper form. Manual half reps are a no-no on the bench press, in my honest opinion. How many different variations should we use on concurrent periodization? Honestly, as much as you want, although with time, you'll figure out which movements are most effective for you. It might be 15, 25 movements. It might be even less than that if you want to go more on the lower end. It can be high too. It can be like you have a fuckload of variations and you're constantly changing it up. Honestly, it doesn't matter so much as long as you're addressing your weaknesses now and the variations that you utilize have carryover. If that's your goal, you're going to be fine. But in truth, carryover is not required in the first place. Progressive overload and just the overall volume, that's the main driver. So you can use as many variations as you want. You can go months without doing a regular flat bench if you choose to. If you're getting stronger at that which you practice, be just fine from a hypertrophy perspective. Specificity is not the solution for bodybuilding, okay? Guys don't want to hear that, but it's just the goddamn truth, okay? You got to stop listening to a lot of these biased guys on the internet, okay? I'm telling you what the real deal is. So for just bodybuilding, as many variations as you want. If you want like the best carryover possible, like pinpoint, bro. You're gonna have to figure that out with experience though. Like with time, you'll know that these are the movements that really help you out. Yo, Alex, why don't you use concurrent periodization in your cardio, like rotating, running, bike, jump rope, time, rest times, etc. Just an idea. Much love from Portugal. Well, I probably will do that eventually, but right now, since I'm kind of new to it-ish, I don't feel the need to do that. Right now, I'm not even doing a running program. Like I'm going 100% by instinct and hard work. Just working my ass off, okay? I've been going every single day for over 2 months now, which I'm so fucking proud of, man. And honestly, the benefits have been profound. And I think I'll make a video soon talking about how I got in one of the best shapes of my life. Like I can say right now, bro, I'm as fit as when I was a goddamn teenager doing the cardio for specific purposes here. So I'm really, really happy about that. I have so much more muscle now and I'm more strong, but everything's more balanced and my health has improved a lot as well. So the running has been so goddamn helpful and honestly, I can't recommend it enough. So right now, it hasn't been too long, right? So I don't see the reason to enter an advanced type of protocol like that right away. Not saying that concurrent is advanced in the first place, but I'm good with this current routine. But if I notice that I'm starting to plateau, like I'm having difficulties increasing the duration, or I can't break through certain numbers, like let's say my 5K running time, for example, then I'll definitely start to incorporate concurrent strategy. Where maybe I'm running on different heights, you know, I'm changing the speeds at which I run constantly. I'm changing the paths. Like right now, I got a path that I really enjoy. And that's pretty much what I do. I lap it out, okay? And I monitor the time. And I'm going for distance while maintaining a proper speed simultaneously. But in the future, it's something that I'm definitely considering for sure. And I think my gains are going to be even better when I do that approach. And I can tell you right now that my performance on the Bastard 30-minute boxing rounds has improved, despite being very lazy with that. I've been specializing in the running, yet automatically I saw carryover. Why? Because the general cardio benefits are just that good. As you get more fit, it translates to other activities. And I think it'll be the same for a lot of sports. I'm just generally more fit, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something to consider, but right now I don't need it. If bench press every day is bad for your shoulders, what do you think about push-ups, weighted or not every day? It's a different story because your body's moving through space and the serratus is being engaged quite nicely actually. So in many cases, doing push-ups every day can be beneficial for the shoulders. And I know that Omar Isuf made an excellent video talking about this. He actually recommends that you do them every day. Not a super high volume, but you're stimulating your body. And keep in mind, it's assisting with the frequency, right? You're getting more total volume at the end of the week, month, year, etc. So I actually think it's a great idea, as long as it's not impeding your ability to recover. And it's the same thing for the pull-ups. Actually, I made a video about this a while back, okay, which discusses all the benefits. So I would definitely recommend this, and I think that it will serve you well in actually reducing shoulder pain. Hey Alex, a large amount of people love fitness, but in your opinion, what is the point in which someone would want to make a living off it? Personal trainer, gym owner, online coach, etc. Well, in my experience, you have to be very passionate for this stuff, although that's not 100% required in the first place. Like honestly, if you identify the demands of the market and you fulfill that, people are going to want what you have to offer, and if you're good at what you do especially. So ultimately, information and life-changing advice is what triumphs, okay? And I've seen some guys who, I don't think they're that passionate about it, but they conduct themselves in a very proper way. It's so good that people have no choice but to want to watch their stuff. So obviously, quality is very important in this and just fulfilling the demands of the market, you know? But if you want to be successful long-term, in my opinion, like you got to have a passion for this for sure. And you need to be different from the crowd in the sense that your advice is unique and you truly care about people. Actually, what I found is that the online coaches who are really good at this, they establish kind of like a personal connection with their clients, you know? It's almost like a mini friendship, if you will. And they treat them with extreme respect. And it's a beautiful thing. And you can see that in people if they're genuine or not. This is just, it's a vibe that you detect. And when you're working with someone one-on-one, it's like, it's hard to explain. But you'll find that guys who are very good at this, they just love it. And they love helping people. Their whole life, they've always enjoyed being of service, you know, of changing lives. Like when you hear testimonials, when you hear stories of inspiration, of people changing their lives from listening to your advice or whatever, it's just, that should make your day. That should light you up. It's not about the sales. It's not about how your bank is going up, even though that's very nice to see. And obviously, you will want that. You're not going to do this for free. But it's what goes beyond that. It's the impact that you have. The fact that you changed someone's life. They consulted you, and now they're in a much better place. Not only in the gym, but outside the gym. So, in my experience, and just what I've observed, you got to fucking love this shit. You got to be a little bit obsessed with it to a certain extent. You have to provide different information, and you need to really care about people. That's the main thing. Like, are you genuine or you're just doing this for the money? That's something you have to figure out for yourself. But if you care about people and you're willing to provide that information, you're going to do what it takes, you're always going to have people who got your back. So that's when I would consider it. Otherwise, there's other professions that offer more money. Hi, Alex. Is there much of an advantage or difference in doing military presses over the regular overhead press? Okay, so seated versus standing. Yeah, the main one is the fact that you get to unrack it first. At least that's how most people do it. So you will get a greater stretch reflex component. It's not so dead stop, right? So you might be able to lift a little bit more. And also, what I've noticed that guys who do the seated version tend to lean back more. They always have that back pad on, right? So they tend to use much heavier weights compared to the standing version. Because standing, yeah, you can lean back a bit, but you're still not going to get the same benefits as when you're sitting down, and you can get a little bit of an incline going on. Typically what I see is guys, especially if they're taller, they're going to retract their scapula and they're going to bend back into it. So it's really just a high incline. But provided you do it correctly and you're not cheating whatsoever, they're quite similar if you ask me, except for the fact that obviously you're not going to get all that extra core engagement, and the entire kinetic chain effect is, it's not where it is. But as an overall mass builder, just for gaining size and all that, it's perfectly fine. Like, just think about the seated dumbbell shoulder press, one of the greatest mass builders of all time, and there's nothing wrong with it. Actually, very few people do that one standing up, and I would say that I actually prefer the seated version for that. But I would say just a core engagement, less overall athleticism, but for bodybuilding, like, honestly, it's fine. Should my main lifts on volume and intensity be different variations or the same exact lifts both days? Whatever you want, bro. For me, I like to mix it up, but in truth, you can use the exact same variations. So let's say on your intensity day, you do a 1 rep max flat bench. Okay, volume day, you can do 5x10 on the exact same variation. You can use the same freaking exercise selection, as long as you're getting a different training effect. Through the manipulation of volume and intensity and the percentages, you're just fine. So actually, that makes your life a little bit more simple too. If you don't want to make anything complicated, just do the exact same lifts, but change the sets and reps. Done. Easy. But personally, that's not how I do it. Sometimes I do, but it's not my standard. But it works, so you do what you want. Calisthenics burns a lot of calories. Should I really track my nutrition? That's up to you, my man. Like, I could say that doing cardio burns a lot of calories. Should I track my nutrition? I could just say that having more muscle mass will give you a higher TDE. So should you track? I mean, what do you want? Are you trying to be in a calorie surplus? Do you have difficulties doing that? Given the extreme calorie burn, like, what are you trying to do here? Are you simply following a portion control strategy, or just eating normally and your weight maintains just fine and performance is going up? Like, what the hell do you want, Like, the way that I see it, if you're able to do just fine with natural appetite, you have no problems gaining muscle mass or strength, and it's all good, and you happen to hit all your numbers on point, then congratulations, you don't have to track anything. But if you notice that this is becoming a problem and you really want to optimize your nutrition and get all the factors on point, then go ahead and track it. So that's up to you. But I'll say that if you don't track, you can either end up staying too lean year-round or getting a little bit fluffy depending on where your appetite stands. So you got to figure that out for yourself, man. Hey, man, my lifetime goal is a 180 kilogram bench. Is 3 times a week heavy, light, medium routine optimal for my goal? I'd say that's perfectly fine, my man, and you can definitely hit that number and even higher with such an approach. I'd even say less than that, where you're doing twice a week, volume day, intensity day, naturally enhanced style. That'll work as well. Like, honestly, you can't go wrong with this approach. I don't know what type of periodization routine you're using, but with heavy, light, medium, bro, that works very fucking well. Especially if you're rotating the variations. That's how I would personally do it, okay? And I think about it, like, would I make better gains on my 3 times template opposed to the twice a week? It's a thought, But definitely this will work 100%. You have nothing to worry about. You're in the frequency, and it's not too stressful on the shoulders. To me, like, this is an excellent strategy for sure. Okay, last question of the week. Are supersets enough for cardio? In my opinion, no. And it's just another excuse not to do cardio, which is not the way to go. Just do your cardio, bro. It's not hard. It doesn't take that long. You could even be brisk walking a few times a day right after your meal. Like, just get your fucking cardio in. A lot of guys want to skip it out, saying, I'll just cut the rest intervals back. I'll just do supersets and giant sets and circuit training. Yeah, that's all great. It's all great GPP. It's all going to contribute to overall fitness, but it doesn't compare it to the actual events. Doing full-blown cardio, full-blown jogging outside, full-blown freaking boxing rounds. It's very, very different. And the studies reflect this too. Emerging research is constantly showing that weight training is not enough. Even if you are using relatively high volume and it's very intense, I get that, bro. I get it when the pump is through the roof and it's just an amazing workout. Same thing for high rep squats. That's brutal as fuck. But it's not the same as true cardio. It just isn't, guys. And again, please see my 30-day cardio challenge, and I'm telling you, it'll change your life. Like, bro, take it from me. I've been doing concurrent periodization for a very long time. So I'm always doing volume year round. So I'm doing all that shit that people talk about, the supersets and the giant sets and the lower rest intervals, okay? I've been doing that for years. Okay, I don't have to do these fucking phases, okay? Plus, I do the GPP. So I've been doing all of that, but my cardio was still not on point until I started doing it seriously. And that's when I noticed the remarkable health benefits. That's when I noticed that my fitness truly improved, big time. When I started taking this very seriously, beyond just the regular GPP and the volume training. I'm telling you, you'll see a major difference when you actually treat it seriously. So guys just got to stop being lazy with this. They got to just do the goddamn cardio. I know it's not fun all the time. I know that it can be very difficult, mentally and physically. But do it if you value your long-term health, okay? But like I said, you don't have to be a marathon runner. Find the activities that you enjoy, get it in, and enjoy the benefits. So with that said, guys, I really enjoyed answering your questions. Please post more down below, and I'll see you next week.